Polypede Works here, coming to you once again with One Piece chapter 1151 entitled That's Enough, I Got This. So we are treated to the 35th entry in the Yamato cover story. Yamato has given Kawamatsu back his hat, and she is participating in a sumo competition with Urashima's older brother, Yokozuna Tsukune, and she sends him flying. So I wonder, are we going to continue from here? Is it just going to be her going around Wano goofing off until she's had her fill? Maybe so, but I think it is cool she beat this guy in a sumo competition. So yeah, that's cool. I like that. But continuing on with our chapter, Kashi is trying to settle down the demon Dory and Broggy duo, as they are now convinced that they have to kill Elder Jarl and take over Elbaf as Twin Kings. This demon transformation thing has had to have flipped their personas because they are truly convinced they have to do this. It's so wild. And we see this happening in real time again as a fellow giant named Tall Man. I think he's a guy we've seen before, like he was on the original Giant Warrior Pirates crew, and he gets flipped as well and gets turned into a demon. So now he is possessed as well. Then Killingham brings back some of the nightmare creatures that were knocked out. And seeing as how the nightmare fissure is still open and the children are thinking about the demons that the Giant Warrior Pirates have become, they too have now spawned demons to come out of this giant fissure in the ground. So that's really weird how immediate the effects of Killingham's fruit works. Speaking about Killingham, we get to see the boy. He looks like a demon. He's in his hybrid state. So I don't know what state he was in when we first see him, but this is a very good display of what the Kirin that he becomes actually looks like, because he assumes a hybrid state very similar to Nosjuro, in which he's a centaur, but the Kirin is a horse creature. That is what Oda's depiction is. It's a horse dragon type creature. So that's cool. That's super cool. And he's still wearing the bubble on his head. So he might be a hypochondriac. He might be, because he keeps wearing the bubble. And now he has some sort of horn with him, of which I'm assuming he used to summon the new demon nightmare creatures forth from the fissure. Don't know where this horn came from. Maybe this is another effect of his body. I'm not sure. But he looks crazy in his human state, because his hybrid state's weird as, yeah, he's a centaur. He still has the Hagoromo around him, all that, but we get to see his human face, and he looks nothing like he did previously. He looks demonic. He kind of reminds me, and I don't know if this was done on purpose, because we've seen her in the anime recently. There was a woman with Garling back during the Kuma flashback. It was found out recently, thanks to the anime, that she's actually blonde, but in the manga, her hair was colored dark. She reminds me of him. I don't know if that's his mother or not. She's a completely unnamed character, but she reminds me of him. I got a feeling. I don't know if that's valid or not, but she could be from House Rimoshifu. She could be. And then, of course, there was that one guy with the cow skull with them. So I don't know about him. He could be related to Killingham. Not sure. But yeah, his hybrid state is really cool. And there are clouds underneath his hooves. So I wonder if this is a flame cloud deal like with the fish fruit model Azure Dragon, or what. I wonder what that's about, because you also see clouds coming from his flanks too. So that's interesting. That's interesting. Super weird. I don't know the mechanics of his fruit now. What was the first form? That's so odd to me. But yeah, after that, well, Jinbei's sitting around. That's so embarrassing. Oh, that's so embarrassing. It is what it is. I hate that he's just sitting there. But Usopp calls out to Dory and Broggy, telling them to snap out of it. So Usopp is distraught about what's going on here. But of course, Dory and Broggy do not hear him. That is when the terror commences, and there seems to be a Zunisha nightmare creature, which is odd. Why is that? Because you see this tall elephant amongst the crowd of nightmare creatures. So I don't know what that's about. Who has been to Zoe on this island? Why do they know what Zunisha looks like? Or perhaps there are other elephants in the world like Zunisha, because Zunisha was given a species typing a while back. So maybe this is a creature that migrates near the shores of Elbaf, perhaps. Not sure. But yes, Emu is going to continue the destruction on Elbaf until the spirit of Elbaf is broken and she can reign over it, rightfully so. And she blames Harold for causing a blunder of some sort. So Harold might not have been a bad guy, but he could have been a weak guy, trying to do things in a non-confrontational way that does make him look like a rat, but perhaps his intentions were pure. Don't know. Because a common theory that Zach and I, my co-host on the Roll Skull podcast, have talked about is that perhaps Harold was trying to ruin Elbaf so that the next generation would be unwarrior-like, therefore the usefulness of the giants would be diminished. But maybe that wasn't the case. Not sure. That seems super likely, though. That's the only way I could see it, but we'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Chopper and Gaban are falling from the Sun Realm into the underworld. And Chopper does something really strange in Walk Point. He does that run on air thing that Luffy does in Gear 5th. I don't know if this is just a cartoony effect or if this is an actual power. I remember Zach mentioning that it would be cool if he could use Skywalk, Moonwalk, Geppo in his Walk Point. Maybe that's this. I'm not sure. It looks kind of reminiscent of it. Maybe that's just a cartoon effect. Don't know. But yeah, and as Gaban is falling, something's really interesting going on here. And we've seen this before, but the arrows that Gunko put in them are still there. So they're real constructs. I just want to point that out again. The arrows are real constructs. So yeah, Chopper catches him by going into guard point. Luffy and the others notice that someone has fallen from the Sun Realm. Apparently, we get this weird comment from Luffy in which he knew that it was Chopper falling, but he doesn't know how he knew. So I don't know if this is a hint to him developing his future sight even further or what, because it could only be an observation thing. That's the only explanation for this. Really weird, but I'm thinking it's an observation thing. Maybe his future sight is just developing further than he has noticed or something. Not sure. It is then in which the others go check that out, and Loki gets another call from Moza, or as it's been translated as Shaggy, which is weird, but yeah. Shaggy just tells Loki that they won't be able to talk to them with the Dendemushi anymore. Loki's trying to figure out why that is, but they have to go away. We still don't know who this Shaggy person is. I think it might be a squirrel, like the Elbaf variation of Ratataskor. I keep thinking that. Like, if we get a crewmate out of Elbaf that's not Juri Bonney, I still think Usopp could get a giant squirrel companion. I still think that that's a hammer or something. I don't know. But yeah, I can't wait to see who this Shaggy person is, because they don't seem to be affiliated with the Elbafian royalty. So yeah, I want to know what this story is about. Continuing on, the boys come back with Gaban, and that's when Luffy finds out Gaban was actually on the Pirate King ship with Rayleigh. Luffy also praises Chopper for saving him, and we got a return of Chopper's praise gag back. Yes! Very cool. Loved it a lot. But continuing. And Chopper explains that he was a real tough guy and probably the third strongest member. Zoro comments like, yeah, he must have been tough. He must be a real big shot. Yeah, now's your chance, Sanji, to be a big shot. Be a big shot. That was a reference. If you caught it, great. But moving on. Anyway, Gaban disagrees with that. And even though he can't talk, he puts up two fingers and says, I was second. Oh. That's great. So he could barely speak, but he let out that little whine. That's crazy. I love One Piece. But yeah, as Gaban is recovering, a big burst of Haki comes out of nowhere. and everyone responds to it. And then the boys suit up and get ready to confront where the Haki has come from. Loki responds that you're going to need my help now because that Haki seems dangerous. And that was the end of the chapter. So pretty quick chapter. We're just establishing how dangerous the situation has become on Elbaf. We do have a break next week, which sucks, but it is what it is. This was one of those bridging chapters in which we're setting up for more stuff later, but I did like it. It is weird how absolute Dominion reverse he is. It's so crazy that Emu can do what they do. I'm still of the opinion, though, that Emu was probably a woman because I don't know, it's just weird that Emu possessed a girl out of the 3 holy knights that invaded Elbaf. That's just so weird to me. I don't know. But with that being said, give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede. What?